flying into Somali taught me a lot. It taught me that life is still very feeble, that in so many ways you can get to a destination and not come back.
Had you had any incidents during that period?
I did. There was a time, I think the first time I landed in Somali, a bomb went off at the gate of the airport.
What?
Somalis are good at business. I'm starting to see something here. If you're buying avocado in Kenya for maybe 40 shillings, if you take it to Somali, you'll sell it at $2. So this is business. And
so that's why farming came to be.
That's the idea of farming.
What are some of the lessons you can actually share from your journey?
If I would have given up, I would have probably never been here. So be resilient.
Good evening and welcome to the Late Night Business. My name is Ian Dennis, and as always, each and every week we have an interesting show and conversation lined up. And today it's no different because I have with me a guest who's literally a jack of many trades and very, very interesting trades that you're going to be exploring. But before we get to introduce our guest, I'd like to remind you that you're here at the Capital Club, the place you need to be as an entrepreneur, because by being a member of the Capital Club, you have access to so many different kinds of amenities. Not only do you get access to the meeting rooms, there's the spa, there's the gym, the training rooms, the event rooms, and so much more that you can be able to access and spend your day and your meetings right here. Also, I'd like to remind you that two of my books, Food for Thought and Business Conquest, are actually out. You can get them at the Textbook Center. The guest I'm speaking about is Lorna Joyce. She's also an entrepreneur behind a very interesting brand called Binti that deals in pads. And I'm quite interested and just quite curious to understand all this business. Lorna, thanks so much for coming to the show.
Thank you.
Pleasure seeing you.
I am ready to teach you.
You're ready to teach me so many. I'm very, very curious. I'm quite curious to understand all this and just to decipher everything around the business, but also about pads and all that you're actually doing. The first question I like starting all my conversations with: what exactly are you most grateful for today?
Oh, wow. Good health. And just the ability to be here because my journey has been long.
Speaking about your long journey, we can start. When you sent your profile, I was quite surprised. I'm like, this beautiful lady, very intelligent, done all these things. I'm talking Mukuru. Take me through your earlier days.
Okay.
And how exactly it was. I was very, very interested.
Wow. So I grew up in a family of a mom, a dad, and I had a younger brother. And my dad was a policeman. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. We moved around, probably Kenya, because I've lived in Nyahururu, Meru, everywhere basically. And I felt like we had quite an interesting life. It was good. We had the money, we had everything. And up until, I think, class 4, my mom said, hey, you're doing too much with the moving. We can't be up and down. You need to get to boarding. So I was taken to a boarding school in Muranga. And I joined in class 5 a sister school.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's when you learn discipline. Oh my God, it was tough. And I ended up and finished class 8 in that school and then moved to a school called Kahuhia Girls.
I've heard about it, yes.
Yeah, in Muranga. And I remember we moved in 1998 to Nairobi. So my mom felt it was a bit of quite a juggle just moving up and down. That was the start of probably me understanding what Nairobi then life looks like. We stayed at a place called Ruai, which by then was not as developed as it is right now. And it was just a normal, nice childhood life up until standard 8, where my dad was moved to Nakuru to become an OCPD. And at this time I am joining Form 1. And my brother had become sick. He was my younger brother, and he had been admitted to hospital. So things were starting to be a little bit shaky for us as a family. My mom was always in Nairobi because now she had to look at after my brother, and my dad was up and down coming to see him in hospital.
And
now,
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, let me just take you back
Yeah.
because before you even get there, you mentioned that your dad was a
he was a
police.
policeman,
How
yeah.
exactly is it growing under police? I'm so curious.
So funny enough, for me, the discipline was from my mom. My dad was such an easygoing person. I remember all the Sunday outings and things like that. All the things that I ever asked for, something like, I want a bike tomorrow, and he would buy it. For him, it wasn't that I'm going to beat you if you don't. No, he wasn't the disciplinarian at this point. My mom was. I remember one time my mom actually telling him, when you're giving these children so much money, when it's not there, what are they going to survive on? And for me, it was just like, oh, my mom is just stingy, or my mom is just being, a typical mom. But that came to happen later on in life. So
how did it come to happen? Because you mentioned you're doing quite well until your brother became sick.
So he got sick. He was in Kenyatta by then, and one day, I'm in school at this point, in high school, on a Saturday.
Yes.
And we normally used to have gazette notices at the notice board. And I was at the laundry. I was doing my laundry. I remember I'm coming up to go now to class at around 2, and the whole school is outside just looking at me walk to my class. And I'm wondering what's going on. And then I get to my class and everyone is crying. So for me, it's a confusion of what's happening here. No one wants to tell me. And then a few minutes later, I get called to the staff room. So the teacher who was trying to break some news to me asked me, is there anything wrong at home? And I told her, yeah, my brother is sick. Is there anything wrong with him? And she said, no, you just go back to class. We'll talk tomorrow. So tomorrow is Sunday. My mom comes, and I'm thinking there's something definitely wrong now. This time,
so the school had known
something was up through the Gazette notice.
You're not seen it?
That my dad had died.
Oh.
And they had seen it in the Gazette notice.
But you'd not seen it.
When someone realized that my name was there, they pulled out the Gazette from the Gazette, the board.
Yeah.
And so now the whole school knew, apart from me, and no one could break the news to me. And even the teacher who tried to do that couldn't. Because now she understood. Now if I tell her, your dad is passed, and then there's a Yes. So my mom comes. I can see things are wrong, and she's crying. And the first words she said is, "I'm a kufa." And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so this is my brother. And in some way, I was prepared for it because he had really been ill for so long.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm asking him, Arnold. He's like, no, it's your father. Okay, that takes me back. He was killed by thugs as he was coming to Nairobi to pay my brother's hospital bill.
How?
There was something that happened. The case has never
been resolved.
Yeah. It was just a story behind a story behind a story. So now we go home, we bury my dad. At this point, I feel like I am numb, or I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And I go back to school because it's almost just towards August holidays. So I have to go back to school, do the exams, and then go back home. So this is July, my dad has passed. I go back to school, finish exams, I go home because now I have to go and see my brother. And the first thing when I get to Nairobi, we go directly to the hospital. This is on a Thursday. And I get there and my brother is completely feeble. Like, I knew he was coming out of hospital, but now I find him in ICU. And I'm thinking, hey, what's going on here? So my mom just says, talk to him, he'll hear you, but he can't speak back. I remember I just told him, it is well if you go. Like, I think for me with him, I was so at peace.
What was he suffering from?
He was sick. He had pneumonia. And so it was so long before they caught what was happening to him. By the time they were pumping him, medicine and all that, it had already gotten so much into his system. So Friday, I go with my aunties because now my mom has to be in hospital the whole time. And my aunt gets a call from my mom, and she just says, tell Joyce, my mom used to call me Joyce, that he's gone.
Oh my goodness.
So now,
within a span of a week,
2 weeks,
2 weeks,
I have lost both a dad
and your brother,
and a younger brother.
That must be
this was my family. This was everything. My dad was also the breadwinner.
Yeah, your brother. How many siblings are you?
It's just me and my younger brother.
So it's just two of you.
Yeah.
So in 1 week, in 2 weeks, you'd lost your dad, who's the breadwinner.
Yes, and I've not even processed what that is.
And then you've lost your only sibling.
And then I lose my younger brother.
And you're still, that is in Form 1.
I'm in Form 1. You can bet the grades just dipped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you even manage to go through that season? Because I'm sure you're young, you had to process it.
Yeah.
Your life was completely changed.
Yeah.
How did you manage to go through high school after that?
There's no managing, because from there, everything just spiraled.
Yes.
From living in a 7-roomed house where the government is paying everything to living nowhere, because we had no savings. We had nothing from my dad. Processing things like pension and things from the government would take years.
Yeah.
My mom had not saved up. We didn't have anything we had invested. And
mom was a stay-at-home.
Thank you. Now you can understand where the life is starting. So whatever we had from the government, of course, they now take it back, and then you go find yourself where you'll find yourself.
Wow.
So the house that we could even afford to pay from my dad in Roy, we couldn't anymore. And we were offered a space to stay at a children's home by a lady who really just loved my mom. At this point now, my mom, remember, has also lost a husband and a child.
Yes.
So she falls into depression. At this point, I don't even know what depression is. And with that, the way I could tell was she was hurting and she was into alcohol a lot.
So I can try to imagine. Yeah, so life just completely...
from having or from affording transport, from affording, food and anything that we could to take me back to school, to not affording even transport to go back to school. That was the whole shift of... This is 2006 now. That's
so everything literally shifted completely.
We had this space. We had been given as a place for children's home to stay. My mom was volunteering to take care of the kids as they give us shelter. And due to the drinking and the alcoholism, it was too bad that we were chased out of that home, and so we had to go stay with my auntie, who was my mom's sister, in Mukuru. And
that's how you ended up in Mukuru.
That's how my whole entire existence moved to Mukuru.
And who saw you through high school?
Oh wow, anything that we had in terms of like bikes or a fridge or anything, my mom would sell that and then now afford
school fees.
Yeah.
And going through this season, I know you're quite young, and primarily life has given you this particular element where it's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
When you look back, how did you navigate through that season? So what are some of the lessons that you see that this season taught you?
I think I have seen through it all. My mom was so resilient in life. Through all that she went through, I see her as a very resilient human being. And I feel like that's what was instilled in me even when I was young, because I was the one who used to take care of my brother when she was trying maybe to start a business, or in the morning you wake up at 5, wash your brother, make your tea, or cook here. In the evening when I come, I need the jiko ready for me when I come to cook. So I was prepared already for a life that I didn't really know what I was being prepared for. When we moved to Mukuru in that timeline, it's not that now she stopped drinking or she became, really well.
Yeah.
It's not that the government came in to support. It was now finding your space in Mukuru and understanding what that life looks like. From walking in a place where it's clean to jumping from in mud and Oh,
and all these things.
trash.
Yes.
I don't know how I even survived there. That lady was forever gone because I couldn't see her. We were living in a one-roomed house. This is even a big space, which had a bed. My auntie had 2 children, so we'd share, all of us, the bed, and then there was the seat where my mom would sit when she was around, sleep when she was around. I remember my aunt had a small chemist, and so we'd alternate selling whatever drugs are there. And if we saw someone that would pass by that we knew it would be sasa hatujakula leo, try just hustle and find anything. 20 shillings there is a lot of money.
What will it afford?
20 shillings can afford you a whole meal with your family, where you can buy a tomato for 1 shilling. You can buy, yeah, and that's how people survived there. Yeah. Wow. I remember my aunt used to leave 200 shillings and she'd say that should survive us for the whole day. So if you have an emergency, know that 200 shillings is what
supposed to be there.
So kaza kabisa, that's how we knew life.
And through that season, what dreams did you have, or even were you thinking of who you wanted to become?
What I knew was, for a fact, this is not a place I want to be at. I knew the only way to finish and get through to the next stage of life was to finish school. I was lucky that I was in boarding, so anytime we'd got maybe 300 shillings transport, I'll tell my mom, just give me that. We'll go back to school. With school now, I was doing home science. So with home science, I knew how to do, uniforms for girls. I knew how to plait hair. So if I plait your hair, then in exchange, you need to give me a biro, you need to give me tissue, something that, can push me. Yeah. So that's how I think I would survive through high school. Coming home, at the same time, there's nothing like mourning, understanding what you're going through, or because I also have to take care of my mom when I go.
Because mom became a drunkard.
Yeah. So I immersed myself in anything that could take me from the home life. And in high school, I did basketball. I thrived in, poems and mashairi and things like that, just to take me out from that life. Because when you go there, then you understand this is the situation. You get friends when you're in that space where today you're speaking to them and tomorrow you're burying them because they were thieves, they were drug addicts, because that's the life there. And I knew in my mind, this is nowhere. This is not what I want to be, and this is not the place I want to stay at.
And how did you end up getting into, what's it called, flight school? How did that come about? So in Mukuru, you started through high school.
Yeah.
How was the transition post that?
So I just before I finished Form 4, I remember the second term in Form 4, I probably missed almost half of it because we didn't have funds, and something came along from my dad's pension, which was able to now to take me. This is probably 4 or 5 years later. We got something, and I was able to finish Form 4 around 2009. In 2010, my mom says, you know what? She's now sick at this point because now being in the space that she was in, she was suffering from depression. She also had pneumonia as well. And through that whole entire time, she's saying, so you need to get to school very fast, get to college very fast, so that we jumpstart your life. And 2010, I enrolled in a cabin crew school. So how for me cabin crew looked like, it was an escape to this life. Growing up, I remember we took some. When we used to say bye to visitors at JKIA, we were taken there, and I saw some Kenyans ladies with their bags looking all smart. I was like, I don't know what the hell this is, and this is what I want to do. Yes. So I grew up knowing I want to be a cabin crew. So automatically when I finished school, the only thing I did was go to look for a cabin crew school. So I joined a college. My mom had paid for me, just a little bit of it. And around August, September, she calls me. So she had moved me out from Mukuru, put me up at a hostel at somewhere around Hurlingham, which was a big shift of life. And for her, she was like, go experience life. I really don't want you in this space, because this space just, eats you up. So in August, she calls me, she sits me down, and she told me, so with how things are and with the way I feel, I want you to let me go. I feel like I have lived enough. I have taken care of you, and in 3 months' time, I will not be here.
So she had already seen this.
She had given up on life, and that's the first step. I'm now understanding. I am 17 years, and I need to grow up. So she says, you need to grow up. You need to learn how to survive by yourself, and I'll teach you this. So stay away from this crowd, stay away from this person in your life. This person will take your head. This is how, you go through life. And I don't think there's any time between August to October where I didn't cry. Because
so different.
To her, she was, I am ready, you need to let me go, then you need to understand how to live. And I'm thinking, why can't we just stay with you? What's wrong? True to it, in October, my birthday is usually in October, so she asked me, come, what is it that I've never done for you in life? And I told her, I feel like you've not done a birthday for me ever since I, and she said, okay, fine. We went to town, bought a few snacks, came back, cut cake with my friends, and I went back to school. And on a Friday, a friend called me, and he's like, please come, your mom is really not okay. I get there, she's really sick, and I'm trying to persuade her to, let's just go to the hospital. She's like, no, don't worry, we'll go to hospital on Monday. So the weekend we stayed together, we talked, and Monday morning comes, and I tell her, you promised me Monday we are going to go to hospital. And we never made it to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. We never made it to the hospital. So she passed on while we were trying to carry her to take her to hospital. And I think the first thing when we got to the hospital and the doctor said, well, we can't find her pulse, we can't find her heartbeat, she's gone. The people who had taken me there just said, I looked at me, and the only thing I said is, she's gone now, I'm alone. But it's okay, she prepared me.
So mom had already seen this.
Yeah, she knew. Yeah, so
okay.
yeah.
All right, so let's just take a short commercial break. We're going to take a break. My goodness, that's quite a story. So I'll see you after the break as we continue in terms of just now how's life after this particular unfortunate incident after incident after incident. So I'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the show. Before we went on a break, Joyce was taking us through this tumultuous journey that she's been through, losing dad, losing the brother, eventually losing the mom, and then now having to start life again, by yourself at 17. So you went, so mom had already set you up in college. You went through, cabin crew training, and then eventually now you became a flight attendant. Take me through that shift, because initially, so you had a good life, lived in the ghetto for quite a while. Mom jump-stamped you, now you became a cabin. How did life change?
So when she passed on, I remember the whole thing of, for you to get out of this mess, you have to finish school. So she passed on when I had not even finished cabin crew school. So I finished. This time I was doing, I realized, so the person who was my breadwinner then is also now gone. So does that mean that now life is ending? No, she had prepared me. There were small jobs that we used to do that would give you something. So at this point I have my ID, and they're called promotional jobs in supermarkets. So you get those jobs and you work for the day for maybe 500 or 700 shillings. So that's how I survived. And that's how I managed to finish off, going to school and paying whatever small college fee that was left. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, after graduation, there's no way the airline that will hire me very soon will come for me at Mukuru, so I need to leave this space. And I have no job, I have nothing. So I wake up, I take myself to Umoja, I get a house, and I start life there.
So Umoja ni nguvu.
It's a good one.
So it gives you strength.
And with these same small jobs, I earn 1,000 shillings, I save, I'm able to pay rent, I earn a few shillings, I'm able to pay something. My mom had a few houses in Mukuru, which also gave us something small.
So mom had
from the money that
you
we got
received
from my dad.
So you had gotten some Zaku rent.
Around 5,000 shillings. So that was enough to at least add on to whatever I'm getting, be able to pay a house in Umoja. And with that, any job that I did, I added onto my CV and took my CV to Wilson. Wilson Airport has a lot of airlines, close to 30 actually. So I alternated JKIA, Wilson, and I think every month I used to go there to drop my CV at a different point. And one airline 1 year later called me and they were like, Lorna, your CV's please come for an interview. And this is now in 2012. I got hired in October in an airline called 748. And by the time you were signing the, I want to work here, yours truly, we were more or less signing our life away, or you're signing that if you die, you are okay. Because the airline in Wilson, most of them, it's not a glamorous life where you're flying to London, to the UK, to...
local.
No, it's Somali. It's the war zone areas. It's Congo. It's, there's a war here. That is where we're going. So now that life moved me into another different life. So I'm thinking, you're struggling here, then you land in Somalia, and it's bombs going off. It's gunshots to your planes, and I'm like, okay, so this is the next life that I'm
So the life wasn't the bomb?
Yes.
As you thought?
No. No, it wasn't.
Just a bombshell.
Bomb.com. So at this point, I think I'm very young. I am just turning 20 years. And the life of a flight attendant in Wilson, you're alone. You are your own boss in that plane. So when you're trained, you're not trained as many people where you come in and you're many people in a plane.
So you're the only attendant?
Yes. So it's a private airline and you fly as your own self together with your two
pilots.
Crew.
So you're a crew of 3?
Yes. So now that means you're in charge of that cabin and become the boss of the people that you're flying in there as well. And that meant you also have to have the courage and you have to, learn how to command people and command a group. I loved that life. Like, even if you give me a chance to fly to, Emirates and become cabin crew there, I would not change that life. Flying into Somali taught me a lot. It taught me that life is still very feeble, that in so many ways you can get to a destination and not come back.
Had you had any incidents during that period?
I did. There was a time, I think the first time I landed in Somali, a bomb went off at the gate of the airport.
What?
And we had just gotten to the camp, because in Somali, we don't go out of the airport. You are inside the airport, and then there are small hotels which are containerized that, people sleep in. And we get there and we're signing our names and a bomb goes off and you see everyone running with their guns. You're like, so, what's the next step? And he says, no, it's okay. So long as you've not been told to go to the bunker, everything is fine. Okay, nice introduction. We're in, we start flying, and then I realized Somalis are good at business, despite the whole bit of an unstable country. And we used to take a lot of food to Somali. And for me, the idea was, I'm starting to see something here. If you're buying avocado in Kenya for maybe 40 shillings, if you take it to Somali, you'll sell it at $2. So this is business. And that bulb went up.
Lorna,
we come back to Kenya, we start farming, we take produce to Somali. we sell to them in dollars. You make good money.
So that's why farming came
That's
to be.
the idea of farming. That
And
came
plus,
to be.
you're your boss. So you're the one who confirms your luggage and everything.
Well, you since it's
Of
a
course,
lot,
yeah.
you have to. I knew a lot of people in the airline industry that used to fly with there, so I would get better rates in terms of if I was carrying a bulk amount of stuff. And so I started farming, thinking I would actually, make bank. And in 2018, I go to Nyeri and I look for a farm. Very ambitious, a 4-acre piece of land, and I say I'm going to do garlic and watermelon. I did my small research, and I knew I'd be a millionaire if I do these two things there.
4 acres,
yes,
10,000 times
farm, and then I sell it in dollars.
Yes,
next millionaire here in farming, and I dropped 1.5 million there from all the savings. Well, even through the time I was doing this research, a pilot friend of mine told me, all this money you're making, what are you doing with it? Just get into farming, because farming, you can let someone do it as you're up and downing. There's no farming of phone. That's not a thing that happens. You have to be there. So what I used to do was on Monday to Thursday, when I used to do my flights, I'd fly, and then Friday all through to Sunday, go to the farm and check up on it. Things were going well until the watermelon we decided to grow. Unfortunately, weeds grew faster
than the
watermelons.
So the weeds took up the water. So you left to the melon.
Watermelons don't have something. It's like a weed killer. They don't have that. Sorry. They don't have that. So if you put any type of chemical on it, it kills the whole plant plus the watermelon itself. So the weeds grew. Nothing. The garlic on this other end, I'm thinking, okay, this is my lifesaver. It rains, the garlics are ready, it's time for harvest, and then they're carried away by the water.
So everything went. So all your money went with the water.
1.5 million down
with the water. My goodness.
And I say, you know what? No. This is because I came to bring whatever has never been farmed in this place. So let's recap. Let's look at what are people farming here? Let's do that. And a lot of people are doing French beans for export, but in small scale farming. So I'm thinking, I have a piece. Let's now venture into
French beans.
So we start with that, and I pump in another 300,000. And this time, I learned the biggest lesson. French beans farming for export is good, but it's good if you have an already existing client. So you have to have signed contracts with the guys who export to the UK, to the Europe, to those areas. Lorna didn't have that. Lorna farmed and then went to look for the market. Now for those kinds of market, they're so stringent because they test everything. So if they can't confirm from the onset what seeds you grew, what chemicals you used, they can't take up your produce. So that also went down the drain.
So you started speaking French by your own.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What I knew was, with these French beans, the beauty about it is they grew to fruition and they were good, and the market was there. So I went back now to along Airport North Road. There's a very nice company there that stood with us. So we signed a contract with them and we started farming for them. Now on this 4-acre piece, what we did was maximize that place that it could chuck French beans for 8 acres. We were doing it on drip, and we were really good at how we were doing the growing. Yes. So we start now making money, and I'm getting a check of 700. Like, my money is coming back finally. And this is now 2019 towards the end. So
farming picked up.
2020, COVID hits.
Oh my goodness. Started speaking French again.
No planes are flying out. There's no food. There's nothing going out. I'm like, you know what? But I'm still good. So let's do this. Let's feed Kenyans. So away with the French beans, let's crop rotate, let's do cabbages. And cabbages are good, because for 4 months you'll use like 10 shillings to grow, and at the time where we are situating it, we'll have money. So it's lockdown. The person who's at the farm is farming. I'm in Nairobi, and I can see cabbages are being sold at 50 shillings. This is it. I'm making good bank now.
It's the return. Then
Yeah. So October hits, it's time to harvest. The guy who's adjacent to us at the farm, he gets his produce bought at 25 shillings. So I'm thinking, this is good. So
Yeah.
25 minus 10,
yeah,
have some
15,
good money.
yeah.
On that acre piece of land, the 4 acres, I did 60,000 cabbages.
Wow.
Very ambitious.
Yeah.
I know I have maybe schools that will take, brokers are going to buy. Dubai, here we come. Ha!
Olena Du Bois.
On the day hata Du Bois ni kuzuri. Hata Du Bois ni kuzuri.
Yeah. What happened?
On the day of harvesting,
Yeah.
I get people coming in,
Yeah.
and they're offering 5 shillings per cabbage.
Why? The market
The market
was flooded.
was saturated.
Oh my
Everyone
goodness.
in Kenya decided to
The
become
cabbage.
a farmer.
That's a problem in Kenya.
Everyone. You had your person with balcony and skuma wiki,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
people had gone back home to become farmers.
Yeah.
So no one was really buying the food, but at the same time in Nairobi things are still expensive, and everyone is trying to make a buck off whatever this is. And that's when I realized whatever I thought I had invested in,
So literally, it's been
itaenda.
slashed into half.
So 5 shillings, this is a deal. If I buy your cabbage at 5 shillings, 1 shilling is for harvesting, so cutting, and then 1 shilling is for parking it on the car. So you're left with 3
3
shillings.
shillings.
And I'm thinking, I'm not even making the 10 shillings back that
So
I
you
invested.
so you invested 10 shillings, you're supposed to make 3 shillings back. So you've lost
Like,
7 shillings.
this is not making sense. I go online and I start shouting, so you know, I planted cabbages, you've seen me on this journey, and I'd like anyone who can help me with the market, or you know how if you can buy for me. The brokers are saying 3 shillings, it's not making sense. If you can buy it at, I'll see even how I can get the produce here to Nairobi. So someone saw that whole thing and offered me a lorry. I went with it to Nyeri, brought back 1,000 cabbages, and got a store in Nairobi. And if 1 cabbage is at 50 shillings, I'll just sell it at 30. I hired a mkokoteni. So me, my mkokoteni guy, load up cabbages, go through all the estates. So Maradaima, Pipeline, Mukuru, everywhere.
Yeah. So
And
I'm
I went
Mukuru.
selling. Yes.
Yeah.
I went selling. But at this point, cabbages are perishable. And at the same time, you're walking like this with your cabbage, there's another one coming like this to sell as well. So there was just a lot of product in the market that we couldn't sell.
Yeah.
I did that for a week, and my friends were like, you're really struggling. How do we come in and help you? Because I can't ask you to bring me 1 cabbage to my house. But if I send you 1,000 shillings, how can that help? So I move into the space of, at this point, I'm still in aviation.
Yes.
So when lockdown is there, there's
so
no
you're not
flights.
flying,
So I have all the luxury and time to do all these things. At this point, I'm also learning business and understanding how to, when you go low, like you really go low, but you don't give up. I put, someone sent me 1,000, and 1,000 shillings at that point was buying 33 cabbages. And she said, just go and donate. Please just go and donate, because the way you're hustling, it's not making sense. So I go online and I think, okay, if that's my friend who sent me 1,000 shillings, then Kenyans are there and they're going to probably do so much. So I go through the journey and I say, I'm going to lay it out there and say, if there's any children's home, if there's any slum, is there anyone who deals with, supporting the less fortunate, or supports kids, or these groups, reach out to me. If there's anyone who can buy a cabbage at 30 shillings, I'll make sure I get it from there to Nairobi.
Then you donate.
That will just cater for transport, and we go ahead.
So the model changed.
Yes. And someone created a poster and we shared it out, and I got 600,000 off that.
Wow.
Yeah. Remember, I have 60,000 cabbages at the farm.
Yeah.
And I would get calls even from the US. Someone saying, I have 30,000. Can I send it to you via Western Union? Just cool. I see what you're trying to do. And for me, the idea was, let that produce not go to waste. While there's someone in Nairobi
who needs it,
who does not
cannot
have
afford it.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting one.
Yeah.
And then, so from that, so there's that. And then how did you end up in the sanitary pad business?
Yeah. It really flows into...
Yeah, I get you. I get the flow. So you're really flowing. So you're now in that period.
It really flows into...
So it's the period to talk about this.
Yeah.
How did Binti come about?
Yeah. So at this point, I start donating. and I get a network, a big network of people in the charity space. And so with the amount of money that we get, we bring around 2,500 cabbages to Nairobi with that one lorry.
So it
and
became
then we
consistent.
map out a day. Yeah,
So it
because
just
I
became
had
consistent
cabbages for a whole month. And for the whole month of October, that was what I kept doing. And through this journey, so I'm in Isili, I'm in a children's home. I remember I went to a children's home in Mweki. And that lady, just before I went there in the morning, she called me and she said, Lorna, please don't fail to come because we've not eaten yesterday and we're waiting for your cabbages so that we can eat.
It just became a need.
I had I have 74 children who are counting on me.
Because
I was having tea. Let me tell you, I just pushed it.
Yeah.
And I left.
Yeah.
Because when you realize what it is that you're doing,
so it became,
you also realize the privilege of, you're losing all of this, but you can still afford to pay your house. You can still afford food. You can actually take tea so that you go for donations. That now spun into a whole different space in charity. While we're there, you're dancing, you're laughing with these kids, like, that one meal is what they waited for. And you're there thinking, so how am I going to go back to farming? What's the next step? What is it for me and those kids and that life? It reminded me of my Mkuru life. Like, if you live for that day, you're grateful and you're okay, and tomorrow will sort itself. And through this journey, everyone keeps asking, do you have clothes? Do you have pads? Do you have anything else that you can give us? Me, I'm thinking, I only have this cabbage. And I don't have anything else. I don't even know how I'm going back to farming. And so when we finished the cabbage and I got back home, this is now in November of 2020, I'm thinking, so then what next for me? I could farm for donation, but no one is going to really give you money. Go and farm and now come and give people food for free. It's not a model that is sustainable. So a friend of mine who had really helped me through this journey, she lived in the US, said, I want to come back to Kenya and invest. And if I do come back, I would want to invest in something that, it's a business that gives us something, but at the same time, it really has a social impact to the community. And so when we were brainstorming at, okay, what's next? So what then do we do? We come across a video of a young girl in Kitui, and she was being molested by the dad to be able to afford pads. And now, having come from that space and seeing this story and knowing this is one story out of many that has not been said out there, what are girls and women going through? And so December we decided, you know what, then this is what we're going to do. And we were very ambitious and said, let's even start manufacturing here in Kenya. And then you start doing the research and realize the government is waiting for you with taxes and
Zakayo. Ataanguka tu. Eventually.
They are waiting for you with the taxes. So the small amount of money that we had saved, we reverted to saying, let's create a product first and then know that it's fit for us so that we can be able to share it out to the other women. But at the base of this product, it has to be a very quality product at a very affordable price.
And
that was the basis of Binti.
All right. And so primarily the whole idea was to have it as a social enterprise.
It was supposed to even be a charity. Like, how do we get pads and go donate? But then when you realize in so many ways charity spaces, you can't sustain a charity without the business angle of it. So we decided to have the business, and then the business in its own way, if it does make profit and grow, then we are able to now do charity. But at the heart of it was, how do we come in and support the already existing charity groups, foundations, NGOs, that are these people who just buy every month to go and donate. How do we come in and support that person? That was the core of what Binti was.
Interesting.
And how it was formed.
All right. And from, because I don't know, time just flies so fast. When I every time, and I have so many questions. I'm like, we need to do a part two. When I came, like 4 minutes, and I have so many questions. How does Johnny's a difference here? Punchline, I'm like, no, there's so many things I'm so curious about. But from all this journey, because what you've been through, you've been through so much. You've seen the highs, you've seen the lows.
Yeah.
From this journey, from everybody who just watching you and primarily has aspirations to be where you are at the moment, what are some of the lessons you can actually share from your journey?
Oh, if I would have given up, I would have probably never been here.
Mhm.
So, be resilient. And for me, I take up every challenge as a stepping stone. So, with how I really view life in a very different way, that a challenge comes, you solve it, then you move to the next challenge. Another challenge comes, solve it, and move to the next challenge. In a bad way, seeing already preempting the negative or the things that are going to happen, so that when a good thing happens,
But I'm expecting that one.
Yes. I think that's how I've lived through life. At the same time, in so many ways, I have a way of, I feel like I've conditioned myself to kind of like deal with things and push them at the back really fast, so that I progress to the next
level
thing. Yeah. That's how I have been able to live through life. Through it all, I have not had family that has supported me, but my family have been strangers who have become friends, who have ended up being family. So the journey for me, or who Lorna is to also give opportunities to different people in life, so that they can also grow and they can also progress in their own way, without me actually being a blood family to them. So that's how I view life.
And before we do a quick fire, just to at least to end it on a high note, where can people get the product actually?
Okay, so we're in supermarkets. We are in shops and supermarkets within Kenya. So at the moment, as early as 2 months ago, we were only in 5 counties: Nairobi, Kajiado, Kiambu, Machakos, and Mombasa. But with the past 2 months, we've expanded to Rift Valley, or to Nyanza, or to Eldoret, so that whole stretch. Our pads are there. This was the first product that
Binti Pads.
Yes, this was the first ever product that has been there for 2 years in the market, and those two just came in 2 months ago, and those two came from the feedback from
the first one.
And this is a product has been loved, that now pushed people to say, now we want those 2 ones.
Interesting.
And they are the same through the basis of Binti. It's quality, affordability, and that's what in every product that we bring out, that's what it states. At the same time, we are also the first ever company to do up to your doorstep.
So you can actually order
pads up to your doorstep. So people order through our social media. We also have a phone line where you can reach us.
So
and so
search for
we were trying to
online.
To change the narrative of you can't reach a company. So with us, you can reach us. You can come to our office. If you have feedback, you can literally tell us, because
so at least you guys,
this is supposed to be for you. It was supposed to be women owning this product and taking them and using them as theirs. Like when you even look at the package, it will be something that makes you feel happy. And then when you know what you're going to use, it's something that really makes you feel good as well. That was the basis of Binti.
I always wanted to make a dad joke everywhere. So I'm like, you're the company that here. So Nini si Binti Kiziwi.
Yes.
So before we end up, and I think we'll do a part 2 out of this. So in just 90 seconds, let's do a quick fire. Because I know you've this. I've never had a show. We've never got this though. Okay, so quick fire questions. What's the greatest risk you've ever taken?
Oh wow, getting into this space of business, this was the next level for me. So Binti was the next biggest risk that I ever took.
What's your favorite month?
Definitely October, because of my birthday. It's a bittersweet where my mom passed on, but
What's
also
your birthday?
it's the month I grew a year older.
Describe your style in one word.
Ooh, comfortable, elegant, and that was what I'd say.
What's one of your nicknames?
I have Lonzy, oh gosh, J-Lo, wow, cliche.
What is one item worth spending more money on?
Perfume and a watch.
What's your hidden talent?
Hidden talent. They say I can sing.
Money or happiness?
Oh my gosh, that is so hard. I love money, but I really want to be happy, so I'll say happiness.
How do you start your day?
By working out in the morning.
What scares
having
you?
a black coffee. And
With
running
no
to the
sugar.
office. And running to the office.
What scares you?
Failure, which I have gone through so many times, but and actually not being able to give opportunities to people.
And the final question, freedom or money?
And now that I'm fighting for freedom in the streets every other day, I would really...
At least to reject finance bill.
Hey,
Wakiongeza pesa ya pads.
they were about to make us go out of business, so I freedom. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Lorna, for coming. I think we'll do a part 2 because I think there's so much to explore.
You even come to the office.
I will. No, actually, we will. We will. There's something we're working on. We actually will. And for me personally, I'm always for buy Kenya, support Kenya.
Yeah.
So Binti Pads, it's been quite an interesting story. So for everybody watching this, whatever it is that you're going through, I don't think it can go as low as that. I think life can take, hey, Maisha Lorna, what? Just don't look at a smile. I'm a pity. Yeah. And also in one of the books, the Business Compass, they talk about a chapter called Going Through the Dirt. You can actually read through it. Because everybody that you see that's successful has actually gone through something. And all of us not an opportunity to give up. So thank you so much for having watched the show. Hope you learned a thing or two. Until next time, I'll see you right here on The Late Night Business.